Well, this is the way. It's kind of big. It's, I can move around. This is the helmet from Nico Industries. Gonna cover up my face till I put my hat on so you can't see my bad hair. There we go. Now I can see everything. This is the helmet from Nico Industries, of course, from The Mandalorian. Not a bad job. He did a pretty nice job. This was all printed as one print. I did make the mistake of not checking my settings before I printed it. So I got this giant support column in the middle. Yeah, it's a big support column. So I am going to stick that over there. I'm going to put the helmet back over here. We printed it in the gray PLA from Spool 3D, and if you want to make one, go and check out Nico Industries on the web, and you can make your own. And I know that Jerry Knapp from 3D Printing and Painting, he's got one. I want to thank Jerry Knapp for reposting our live stream over on his Facebook page. Thanks again. So let's say hi to some people tonight. We've got Trevor Rickard. We've got Rex Waldy, Rob Waltz. Again, there's Jerry Knapp, Ben Brady, Snapshot FPV, Permanently Patriotic, HVAC A to Z, LB Sharp, Art Eckstein, and Joe Jolly, or Joseph Jolly. We are alone tonight. Actually, I'm not alone. I have my lovely wife sitting way over on the other side of the room. She's going to be sending chat my way. Hey, there's 3D Medic Vince and Vert's Hobbies. Welcome. Welcome. What's up tonight? Well, this is Ask for Help, so we're going to be answering your questions that have been coming in through email. I am going to take questions through the chat tonight as well. We'll see how far we get. We've only got an hour's worth of time. Also, I want to know if you guys are really digging these live streams. If this is something that you look forward to on a Saturday night, and tell me why you like the live stream. So I'm going to run the intro and give you guys a chance to think about that. Hey, welcome back to the first layer. This is Ask for Help, our standard Saturday night live stream. And I'm alone. Brian's not with me tonight. He's out of town somewhere in northern Alberta, I think. And he is doing work for a client up there on his day job. So he won't be back until Tuesday. So we'll have him back with us live next Saturday night. So let's see what's going on here. Who did I miss? David Sell, welcome. M50 Bobber. And David Houghton. Also, there's Paul Cumber. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Welcome to our Saturday night live stream. We've got a lot of questions to get to tonight. I think there's 3 pages worth, isn't there, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 pages worth of questions tonight, so we're going to try and get to them. I'm going to try and get to your questions here in the chat. Want to talk quickly about the helmet that you saw me wearing at the top of the show. Again, that's from Nico Industries. It is a nice helmet. It fits well. It printed really nicely. Because of my error, I used 2 rolls of filament on that helmet. So I'm not real happy about that, but that was due to my error, not to the error of the print. I have another one going behind me. It's not from Nico Industries. This is one that can be found on Thingiverse. That is free, and I'll see if I can pull it up a little later in the show. What else? That's about it. I brought home the resin printer. We're going to be talking about resin in another couple of weeks. Coming up this Wednesday, we're talking about infill. Why infill can play or plays a big part in the parts that you do. So on Wednesday's show, we're talking all about infill and Cura infill in specifics. So let's get to, there's RT and LB Sharp and Jeff Collins. I love the live show. Nothing better than asking a question and getting an answer to help. Thank you very much. Robert Reynolds, there's only me and my wife tonight, and she's off in the corner on the other side of the room. She's going to be answering or taking some of your questions tonight and relaying them to me in case I miss them. So I have a monitor here that I can swap things around on. Let's get over here. Let me just switch these two sides. There we go. It'll be easier for me to read. All right, so the first one comes from LB Sharp. He says, I followed your video on upgrading firmware on the Cr-10S to 2.0. After a couple of hiccups, I tried to do a PID testing for the hot end and bed. Hot end had no problems with the M303E1 S60. Gave me an error saying it was a bad extruder number. After some research, I found that my configuration.h, that the @ define PID temp bed was commented out. Took off the, now it works fine. Thought this might be helpful to others. And yes, it absolutely is helpful to others. Please make sure that when you are using those configuration files in Marlin 2.0, now it's actually Marlin 2.0.4.4, and I have noticed that those configuration files are not included in the actual zip download anymore. They are a separate zip that you can go and download, and I will try and put links in the description of this live stream a little bit later on tonight so that you guys know. So now he goes on to ask about a BL Touch. The BL Touch is way off. Has no effect. Your video does not show how to set up the grid offset from Nozzle to the BL Touch. No, it does not actually. The BL Touch is going to be a completely separate video with 2.0. They have been working out some more bug fixes. The problem with the BL Touch right now in 2.0 is that there's a couple of extra steps that you have to take to get it to work. And I'll show you how to set the offset correctly in an upcoming video. I do really need to make a BL Touch video for dummies, and you're absolutely right on that. Some people are reporting that they're having problems with, once the print is finished, the bed is sliding all the way to the front, so it's going to the back corner. It's thinking the back corner is home, and it is not allowing them to do a home. It's just starting to grind on the y-axis. So you have to push the bed back a little bit, then hit auto home, and it'll home. So when I do a M503, I also see a message saying printer filament disabled. What does this mean? When you see the printer filament disabled, it means the filament detection switch, which is just a little micro switch like this. This is a broken one. It's just a little micro switch like this. Okay, so normally there's a prong on here that comes down and it pushes the micro switch when things activate it. So this sits in your filament out module, and basically if this is not connected, it's telling you that it's not, you either don't have it connected or you haven't set it up in the firmware and taking out those two slashes to get it to work for you. Problem number one. The example folder, which we just talked about. Yes, the example folder in the latest version of Marlin is not there. It is a separate download. But if you go to the README file that is in there, it will give you a link and tell you exactly where to go to get that file. And then Arduino Mega 2560, he says there's a U8G glitch. There's an error. No such file or directory on the U8 glib.h. That is another file that you will have to download. The easiest way to do that is by going into the Libraries tab. When you go in and you're trying to change things up, just go into the Libraries and go into Manage Libraries. Once you go in there, it'll open up a window for you. That window will allow you to have a search, and if you just type that into the search without the .h, it will come up, and then you can install the latest version of it. It's probably the easiest way to do that. I hope that answered your question. LB Sharp says, update on the BL Touch. Now when I use the G29 command X and Y home on switches, then moves to the center of the build plate, probe deploys, Z comes down, activates the probe, then I send a G29 nothing. You don't need to send a second G29, I don't believe it. If I'm getting this right, that's what you're saying over here in the chat. You're sending 2 G29s, you shouldn't have to. Once it homes, by putting G29 after G28 in your start G code, you know what, I'm going to pull up Cura here and I'm going to show you exactly where to put that. And I'll show you exactly the string that I'm talking about. I'm going to try and get to everybody's questions tonight. I hope I get to everybody's questions tonight. So once Cura loads here, then we'll go into Cura and I will show you exactly where to put a G29 command. And if you put G29 space P1, you are going to tell that command to store that mesh in a file on the printer so that it stays level for the entire range of that print, even if you should run out of filament. Takes a couple minutes for 4.4.1 to load up. I haven't updated 4.5 yet. So here we are. Let's go over to that screen right now. Okay. So in the screen, what you're going to do is you're going to go up to your preferences. You're going to go to configure Cura. Now, once you're in here, what you're going to do is go down to your printers, pick the printer you're using. Let's use an Ender 3. We're going to activate it so that we can get all of our machine settings. And down in the bottom corner here, let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. I want to see if I can zoom in so I can show you guys exactly what I'm doing. I may not be able to because I'm active here. Okay, let me just hang on a sec. Now we'll do this. Let's zoom in on this. We should be able to zoom in on this one alone. Nope, it's not allowing me. All right, fine. Be that way. I wanted to show you guys this. Okay, but just look really, really close at your screens, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to where it says Start G Code, and we are going to scroll down till we get to that G28 home, which is right here. And underneath that, we're going to do a carriage return and type in G29 space P1 space semicolon, and we'll just type in BL Touch. Okay? Now you're all set. That's all you have to do. Close this up, and now you're on the Ender 3, and what it will do for you is every time that you slice something with that profile, before it starts to print, it's going to do a bed level for you, and it's going to store all the information that it gathers from that bed level into a file so that it knows. Okay, simple question. Should I upgrade to Cura 4.5? I have an Ender 3 Pro. Yes, absolutely. 4.5 works great. I just haven't done it on this machine. I have done it at work, and in the latest class that I did for the Build and Learn for Spool 3D, we also used 4.5. And there's not a lot of differences in it. They've just cleaned up a few things. Stable batch is always older than the bug fix branch, so people know. That's right. Vert's Hobbies is saying that when you're downloading the latest version of Marlin 2.0, go with the latest stable version. Don't go with the nightly builds. The reason I say don't go with the nightly builds because then what you're doing is kind of testing those nightly builds for them. There's other people that might be more experienced, more skilled. If you're skilled at that, then great, go ahead and do that for them. But I would just take the latest secure builds. Is it necessary to keep upgrading the firmware to the latest version? RT says, no, it's not necessary. Pardon me. It's not necessary at all. It is important that you try to keep up to date because you know, with the advent of new slicers and new firmware, there might be some features that are available to you that weren't available to you before. Vert's Hobby says, Arduino is also the worst way to compile Marlin 2.0. It wastes many resources. Yes, it does, but it's also the most common used platform. Now, you can use Studio Code or Visual Studio Code from Microsoft. Now, there's if you watch the video that Brian put out about putting in the easy way to compile code in Visual Studio Code using the Marlin extension. It works great. It installs everything that you need, including the platform I/O, and it is a great way to do it. Now, the problem I'm having with it right now is that it is not recognizing boards when I plug them into the COM port, so that I can't directly upload it to the board. That's the only problem I'm having. So Trevor Rickert, he has a question here that he sent in. Now, some of these questions are a week old because we weren't on last Saturday. Hey, this is Trevor Rickard with the Cr-10 S with the vertical lines. I have a question. I think I found out what it was. My X-axis belt is moving back and forth. I tried to correct it, but it can't seem to be fixed. Any ideas on how to fix this? What do you mean it's going back and forth? Is it going front to back? Or is it kind of sloppy on the end when it's coming around that wheel? That I need to know, because if it's sloppy coming around that wheel, like that tensioner wheel, what you want to do is take your largest Allen key that you have that came with the Cr-10, drive it down in there, loosen up the screws first, of course, just give it a little bit of tension and then tighten those two screws back up, and that should fix any slop that is in that belt. He says he has vertical lines on his test cube. He's tightened up all the belts and the Z-axis rods are perfectly straight. Slow down your machine a little bit and also try to do an extra wall. I guess I should get back onto my camera. There we go. Go back and make sure that you put an extra wall in there, because sometimes what you're seeing in those vertical lines is the infill. So that's something to be aware of. Something, if you have too much overlap, you're going to see that infill line. It'll show up on the outside. HVAC, thank you very much for the super chat. It's always welcome. There's a high five for you, a fist bump, and a thumbs up. We always appreciate your help with our super chat, and he also sent us a little emoji. I love that little emoji. Those things are cool. Platform I/O does have a number, does a much better job, and it's easier to use. Vert's Hobbies is saying it is easier to use, but again, right now there's still a couple of little bug fixes that we have to work out. Ben Stanley, hello, sir. Ken Strock, I don't think I said hello to you. 3D Printing Viking, man, I could spend all night saying hello to everybody. We got Canadian Maker Project, there's Ron. Jake from State Farm, Chris Travis, I hope I got everybody. Robert Avery, John Kitchen, wow, hello everybody. Hello, welcome. We do have a lot of people in tonight, thank you. Yes, Super Chat's open, so let's keep going with the questions. Joseph Jolly is asking, hope you and your team are doing well. What would you recommend for a backup power supply for the Cr-10 S Pro? Living in Orlando, especially in the summer, we get numerous thunderstorms. Thank you for your help. Joseph, what I would do as a backup power supply is go and buy a UPS unit like you would for your computer. We have a couple down at the shop that we use. Because sometimes the power goes out there and we don't understand why, but it gives us time to pause the prints, or it gives us enough time for the power to come back on. Because usually the power is not out for any longer than about 15 minutes tops, if that. So one of those UPSs that gives you 20 minutes to a half an hour should be good. It'll also surge protect your 3D printer as well, and you can hook up a number of different 3D printers to it. So that's always a good thing. They're just like for the ones for your computer, they're the exact same ones. That's what I would do. Rob W. or Rob Waltz sent in a question here. He says, I have what was once a Tronxy X5SA400 Core XY printer. I've changed the controller to the Duet Wi-Fi running a linear rail stock extruder and E3D hot end. When I print a 20 millimeter calibration cube, my measure about 20.01 and 19.98 on any axis. I was using Cura 4.4.1 for the slicer. I tried printing a VR rifle from Thingiverse, and he has the Thingiverse link in there. None of the parts fit together. On the rails, the female clips don't fit into the male holes. Female clips are too big and or male holes are too small. The reinforcement brackets are too small to fit over the rails. It's like the inside dimensions are too small. What can cause this? That can be, I would say that's probably the model, if anything else. Let me just pull up that link right now. I'm going to have a look at that file. Here's the problem. I know the problem right now. It says, hey, this thing is still a work in progress. Files, instructions, and other stuff might change. So here's the problem when we see stuff like this, is that they're still testing it, and they've put it up there so that you can test it as well. What I would do is add 1% or minus 1% on the parts that don't fit properly. So if it's too small, add 1%, see if it fits. If it doesn't, add 2%. And I think that will help your problem. So that's usually what happens when people are still in development on STLs. And although Thingiverse is a great repository for having a lot of STLs, the quality of STLs varies wildly from one to the next. So typically what I would do is I would print out one set, see if it all fits together, see where it doesn't fit together properly. Then I would take it into my slicer and just increase the dimensions by 1 or 2%, or decrease them by 1 or 2% depending on what I need. I think if the parts that should fit are too small, then I would increase that by 1 or 2%. And I hope that helps you, Robert. So Vert is saying is if you're having issues with platform detecting the COM port, you can static define the COM port in your environment. That is very true. I spent a number of hours trying to find that answer on Friday. So it did take a lot of time out of my day. But yeah, you can actually define it. So John Kitchen, benchy problem when test print bow looks melted. Tried temp 200 and up. John, did you first and foremost do a temperature tower on the filament that you're using? And how fast are you printing? Because I've noticed that when people print the benchy too fast, it can come out not looking quite right. Joe M., welcome to the show. Are 3D printers worth fixing, or should I buy another one? Oh, worth fixing. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Or should I buy another one? The one I have is only an Aldi Cocoon Create, worth about $300. It used to be a great printer. I think it's just worn out. Joe M., you can definitely upgrade your printers, and is it worth fixing? If it was a great printer, my answer hands down is going to be yes. If it's something that worked really well for you, I think that you should, by all means, go ahead and fix it if you have the money. If not, you know, if you're looking for something that's right around that same build volume, there's plenty of options out there. If you need something that's enclosed, because I believe that Cocoon is enclosed, is it not? I think Angus over at Maker's Muse, he's done a lot of the stuff on the Cocoon, and I think they're an enclosed printer. So you've got several options to look at. You've got the ones from Wanhao, which would be the Duplicator 6. Again, it's more money. And, you know, it's just something to think about. But I always try and fix my printers. I find that I've learned more through doing repairs on printers and building my own printers from time to time than I ever learned from just buying a printer. I get more into the mechanics of it, and I can learn a little bit better. What else we got going here? Vert says, should have come up with the Marlin Discord. We should have had you sorted out quick. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not part of the Marlin Discord right now. I should get on that. Speaking of Discords and stuff, now that we're almost halfway through the show, I do want to let you guys know that we are starting our Patreon page again. It's very different this time. We aren't going to be doing specific projects over there. We are going to be posting a lot of behind the scenes photos. There's just 3 levels. They're pretty much inexpensive. There's a $1 level, a $5 level, and a $10 level. If you come in at that $10 level, we have started our own Discord, and I will give those that are in that $10 level and above a link to the Discord for the first layer, and that will be a private Discord just for our Patreon members of $10 and up. But below that, you still get all the behind the scenes stuff. You get blog posts and things like that. And we also thank all those that are still hanging around on Patreon waiting for me to start the page up again. Thank you very much for your support and for your patronage and, you know, helping to keep me doing this show. This is what I do. I watch a lot of videos on how to improve things on our channel and how to improve the show and things like that. And I'm involved in a number of communities that deal with online entertainment and edutainment. That's what it is. That's the word I was looking for. I hope that you guys are entertained. Hopefully. I know that we make mistakes from time to time, and we're trying to correct ourselves as best we can. So our Discord will be, again, starting up as of tomorrow will be the first. So anybody that is at the $10 level on our Patreon, you'll get a link to that Discord. And we'll be doing the Discords every Tuesday and Thursday night. I'll be on live on the Discord for a couple of hours every Tuesday and Thursday, so I can have a little bit of time with my wife during the week as well. Because of course I'm at the shop all day and she's not. So I like to spend a little bit of time with her, at least a little bit. And then of course Saturdays we're back here. Let's see, what do we got going on before we tackle the last question in our thing over here. We've got Ben Stanley. Hey, the first layer. Got a question. I'm looking at getting the G-Tech A10 or Anycubic Mega Zero in the near future. Can you recommend either one of these printers? The A10 I'm not familiar with. I believe that is that not the one with the dual extruder setup on it with the Cyclops hot end? I think that's the A10. The Anycubic Mega Zero I just reviewed. I think the Anycubic Mega Zero is a good printer. The problem with that printer is that it does not have a heated bed. Yes, it's a sub $200 printer. There is a link in the review video that I recently did. So you can definitely go and check that out. It's a good printer, it prints well, but without a heated bed, especially in our colder climate here in Canada, it does tend to have issues. So I would say that either one of those are going to probably serve your purpose, but I would always go with something that has a heated bed, and I believe the A10 has a heated bed. Jerry's saying your purple R2D2 looks really cool. It actually is really cool. And this is the one that was brought back. Let me put that in front of my face. This was brought back from Disneyland by Jess and Brian when they went down to Disneyland last year. They brought me one back. This is the remote control, the Build-A-Droid. It does have its own chip in it. So it's got a little chip right there. And he does make sounds. He makes actually quite a few sounds. If you guys want to hear him, I'll fire him up a little later. And then of course I've got my Yoda back here. This is the Force Training Yoda, which was selling for originally over $100, and my wife and I found it on sale at Walmart a couple of years ago for, I believe, $30 or $40. It was 35. She says it was 35. So he's really cool because he does all kinds of weird things, throws his arms up in the air, and he talks. And for anybody that's unaware, I am a huge Star Wars nerd. I love Star Wars. I've loved it ever since I saw the original Star Wars in 1977 at the King's Theatre in Winnipeg, Manitoba, on opening weekend. It was an amazing film. It changed my life, and I knew at that point I was going to do something in entertainment for the rest of my life. And now I'm here. What a crazy name for Ben Brady. What a crazy name for a printer. Anycubic Mega Zero, a big nothing. I wouldn't say it's a big nothing. It is a good printer. It's solid. It's done really well.
Altercacious? Got a question from last time. Did you answer it?
Alteracious. Did you get my email about the small nozzle problem? Did that just come in today, Alteracious? If it did not go into the dock because it wasn't there when the dock was created. And we usually stop putting things in the dock on Friday nights. So anything that comes in after Friday night, I probably didn't see it yet. Richard, have you seen Star Wars playing cards from Theory 11? I have not seen them personally. I have seen them. Somebody I follow, Peter McKinnon, he's a great photographer, Canadian as well, from Toronto. And he did a little video on doing some product shots with those cards. They absolutely look gorgeous, and I would love to have a set. Ben Stanley says, I'm in Utah. It gets cold in the winter and warm in the summer. Ben, yeah, then I would seriously look at something that has a heated bed. The Mega Zero probably won't do it for you. Does the A10 have a heated bed? Yeah, I think it does have a heated, or it does have a heated bed. I figured it did. I think that's the A10 is the one with the dual nozzle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's the, let me just look it up here. How many G's are in G-Tech? Oh yeah, there's two. I hate when they do stuff like that. It's really weird that they put a whole bunch of different letters in. That's the A10. Let's have a look at it real quick. Let's go to images. That is the one with the single nozzle. Okay. It is the one with the single nozzle. It does have a heated bed. It's an Ender 3 for all intent and purposes. Again, the A10M has dual. Thank you very much, David Wilson. This one here it's a good printer. I've worked with the other one, the A10M, because I did some repairs on one recently for a client. However, these are all, at the end of the day, these are all Ender 3 style printers. The one thing I'm not a big fan of on the G-Tech and some of the other clones of the Creality Ender 3 is that they're using a power supply that just to me is not the best power supply. I prefer to have a Meanwell power supply, and a lot of people do. So I think at the end of the day, having the Meanwell power supply is going to be better for you in the long run. It's going to last longer. It's the fans in it, even though they are loud, they don't wear out prematurely as the ones do on the cheap Chinese versions, or the thicker, what I call the thicker bricks, thicker silver bricks. So yeah, I would, if it's something that you're interested in, take a look at it. The Ender 3 has a bigger screen, and in Canada it's only $349. So.
Are nozzles under 0.2 available for the Ender 3? And do you have any tips for printing with tiny nozzles?
Let me find that here. My wife's talking to me in my other ear. Alteracious, yeah, if you sent it today, yeah, I wouldn't have got it. Okay, so Alteracious is asking, are nozzles under 0.2 available for the Ender 3, and do you have any tips for printing with tiny nozzles? First of all, I don't think there's a big reason to print with anything below a 0.4. I've printed miniatures successfully with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle and got beautiful results. I don't think you can find a nozzle below 0.25 for the Ender 3. It's a Mark 8 nozzle, so you might be able to find some online. As far as printing with smaller nozzles, you got, first and foremost, you're going to have to slow down your machine. So you're going to be printing at, speeds of 25 to 30 millimeters per second or below that if you want to get good results. And if you want the material to lay down, because you're now half the width of the material that you were using before. The other problem that you're going to get is that your walls are going to be much thinner on anything that you're printing. Now, printing with a 0.4 nozzle, and I've printed miniatures, like I said, successfully with it. I have no problem with a 10% infill and 3 walls on miniatures. It works great. Again, I slow the machine down. So for a miniature, like a D&D miniature about 28 millimeters tall, you are looking at getting much better results if you slow it down. Printing with smaller nozzles, again, I don't think it's that necessary. Vert's Hobbies, A10 is a single, the A10M. Okay, we covered that. Get the Ender 3. I have both Ender 3. Ender 3 is better, Robert Reynolds is saying. I agree. I think the Ender 3 has done the work. I think Creality's done the work behind the scenes to create a really good product in the Ender 3 Pro. And I think that it's well worth the money. Looks like HVAC has to go. Thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. We do appreciate it. Ben Stanley, Vert's Hobbies. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think that's great. Stephen Caravellis, or Carvelis. Stephen Carvelis sent us an email this week. He says, I'm very new to 3D printing. I have had my printer for just about 2 weeks. I was hoping to get some help or some insight into finer operating details on my 3D printer. I've watched a number of your YouTube channel shows and was pleasantly surprised when you did the show on the Cr-10 V2 printer. I did my best to pay attention to the details in your presentation, but it was late and I was viewing your channel on my TV, not my PC. I've had mixed results with my attempts at printing. I downloaded some files from Thingiverse, 20 millimeter cube, all-in-one test print, and a few others. I tried printing the 20 millimeter cube on several occasions, and all attempts failed to successfully print the top of the cube. The filament was there, but only sitting inside the cube as a bundle of unconnected filament. I attempted to print the all-in-one test on 3 separate occasions, and each time the print failed in a large degree. The overhang portion of the print was successful, but everything else failed to print properly. Per your video on the Cr-10 V2, I downloaded the Cura 3D slicer and used the Pro S printer profile with some excellent success. The piggy bank came out. Something wrong with the initial setup of the program because lots of the options are unavailable. A message comes up saying something about multiple extruders. I was hoping you could find time to share your experience with me and get me pointed in the right direction. The plate temp's been set between 45 and 60. The extrusion nozzle between 200 and 215. Travel speed is set to the recommended 50 millimeters per second. Okay, let's start with your bed temperature. Let's do the bed temperature at 60. If you're in a colder climate, Stephen, And then again, I would do the temperature tower. And if you're unaware of what a temperature tower is, I do have a video that explains how to do a temperature tower in Cura, and see if that works for you. That will give you the right range for the plastic that you're using. Here is some blue PLA. This is blue PLA Plus from Sunlu. And a lot of people know that I don't have, let me just grab the box here. I don't have a great reputation with Sunlu filament. Sunlu is a filament that I have never been able to get to print successfully. However, this batch that they've sent me seems to be pretty good. Here's another little thing that I did. This is a sign that we're going to put some lights in, and this was just kind of a test sign. Temperature towers are important because it's going to tell you the most about your filament in terms of how it's going to adhere layer to layer, what temperature is best, where you're getting your sharpest edges, where you're getting your cleanest detail, and how your bridging is going to work on certain temperatures. So I would definitely go and check out that video. That should answer most of your questions regarding print quality. If you've had some successes, I would say probably there's some things that you're kind of tweaking in there that may not be working well with one another. Looks like the G-Tech A10 is going for $170 on Banggood, Ben Stanley says. Good price. Very, very good price. So I think I've got all the questions out of the way tonight. We got about 20 minutes. If you've got a question, throw it up here in the chat tonight because I can now see it. I have two windows open right over here. There's three computers going here tonight. So Ben doesn't want an ANET A8 situation. Then buy a Creality Ender 3 Pro. That's what I would say. I really do like the Creality Ender 3 Pro. I own one. I used to own 3 of them at one point, but we culled our collection because we were up to 11 printers at once. So there are a lot of great brands out there. The reason I trust Creality is because what they've done is they've really listened to their community. And early on in their journey into 3D printing, they had problems. And, you know, every company does have problems, and some learn from them and some don't. Creality took the approach that they are going to listen to their core buyers, their core audience, and they're going to make changes for the better. Now, granted, some of the changes that they've made over the last little while aren't spectacular. I don't think they're worth some of the prices that they're asking, but the Ender 3 Pro at $349 in Canada is well worth every penny. Well worth every penny. Ben Stanley says, 11 printers, living the dream. No, I'm actually now down to 6 printers, I think. Yeah, I think I'm down to 6 because there's 4 here at home and 2 at the shop. Yeah, I'm down to 6 printers now. So, yeah. 3D Printing and Painting says he loves his TiVo Tarantula Pro. I had the TiVo Tarantula Pro here. I did a lot of testing on it. My only complaint about the TiVo Tarantula Pro is the power supply. I really wish they would have put in a bigger power supply. It's barely enough to run everything efficiently. I think it's only a 250 or 60 watt power supply. It really should have been a 350. But the TiVo Tarantula is a great printer. It works well, and it does a good job at what you print with it. Again, you just have to tune it. David Arman, hey Richard, is Spool going to carry the Microswitch DD kit? I do not know if that's going to be something that we carry. It might be something that comes in only as a special order. But I can talk to Derek on Monday when I get back into the shop. Unfortunately, I don't have a lifeline to him right here, so I can't ask him. Dan Damien, with the JG Aurora A5, started to under extrude. I pulled the filament. When I tried to load filament again, it would load filament. I think there's a blockage in the throat. What would I suggest? David, here's what I would do, is I would remove the fans off of the complete hot end assembly so there's no cold air blowing onto the heatsink. Then I would heat that up to about 230, 240, depending on what type of material you were using. Pull the Bowden tube if it's a Bowden tube setup, and then take something long and thin, a little bit smaller than a coat hanger, and start to push some of that material through. It sounds like you're getting a blockage because some filament got stuck up in the cold section. So by heating all that up, allowing it to heat creep, you'll be able to push any material down through it. You can also take a piece of whipper snipper or whipper that you put on your weed whacker line. You can take some of that and you can use that to push it down through as well. So that's something that I would definitely do. Don't knock the A8. Had one, it was my first. Yeah, never forget your first. It taught me a lot. You know, the A8, Jess had one as well. She's now since graduated out of the A-Net A8 family, and she's now using that for parts later on. What else we got here? Now, yeah, Ben, you're right. There was a series of printers that were catching fire, and the reason that they were catching fire is because they didn't have the safety features turned on in Marlin. A lot of that has been corrected now, but yeah, it's one of those things. So I think most 3D printers nowadays are pretty safe. I'm just kind of catching up here. Snapshot said his longest print was 114 hours. Awesome. Oh, sorry, he says 14 hours. What is my longest print? This was 7 days. This guy was 7 days. So,
Was it really?
yeah, it was 7 days. This took a week to print. Ridiculous. Let's go back to the wide shot here. So yeah, this was 7 days to print this guy. And it is big. Here's the silly thing, is that this is a big helmet, but my glasses don't fit on my face inside the helmet. So you can see inside there, it is gorgeous in there. And the reason for that is because, well, let's talk about this once again. This guy right here, this is about a pound, maybe a couple of pounds. This might be almost a whole roll of filament. This was the center that I put into it, and I did this by accident. I didn't mean for it to be this big. I did want to have some center support, but lucky happenstance, because of this area where it met the inside, I got a nice, clean, beautiful print on the inside. So this was printed at 0.28 millimeter layer height with the gray filament from Spool 3D. It is a really nice helmet. There are a few inaccuracies in it, but we are going to finish this helmet. This is going to be part of our May the 4th episode that will be coming up on May the 4th. We're printing a lot of cool Star Wars prints for you, and we're going to show you how you can do everything from cosplay to display pieces for your Black Series figures. We're also going to do some lightsabers as well. We're going to do a mix of stuff. So I'm also going to be giving one of these helmets away fully painted for that video on May the 4th. So you guys, because you're here live tonight, there's a teaser for you. We're going to be giving one of these away fully painted with the visor and ready to go. But the lucky thing is that that big column that was in the center makes a great helmet stand. Heads and helmets don't need center supports. Usually minor stringing on the top. You are absolutely right about that, Jerry. But I like to put just a little bit in there so that I can avoid that stringing later on because of the way that I do actually finish out the insides. So it's, you know, this is really nice and smooth. If I took a 100 grit sandpaper to this helmet now, and then started doing my filler primers and all of my other little things, I don't think it's going to take long to do this. This is going to probably be painted with all clads, so it'll have a really good metallic shine to it. And there's a great steel color from all clad, which is, they're lacquer based and they go through an airbrush really, really well. Pierre's Robotic, hello, welcome. What are you saying too, honey?
Heads and helmets don't need a center support.
Yeah, okay. My wife says that they don't need a center support. I like to have a little bit. The one that I'm doing in the background here has a much smaller center support on it. It is only this print, in contrast to that one, this one's only 4 days. That one was over 7 days. So, and I'm doing one at work. Now this one behind me is a free file available on Thingiverse. Let me see if I can go and find it for you. Let's go home, because I know I downloaded it, but I want you guys to see it. So, you have to spell Mandalorian right. Now, it is not the one, I don't think it's the one by the Broken Nerd. That might be. No, it's not the one by the Broken Nerd, even though he's got a really nice helmet. This is a version 2 of this helmet. I just want to find the person who did it, because they did a really nice job on it. And again, most of these Mandalorian helmets are pretty easy to obtain and get a hold of. And of course, you know, I can't find it. I just hate when that happens.
How can you not find it? Didn't you print it?
I did print it, but I'm trying to find it on Thingiverse for everybody. Yeah, I'm just going to go and open that file. So the Mandalorian helmet, the other one that I'm doing, it's a version 2. I have it here on another drive, so I'll go into that drive and we will pull it out of there, and I'll tell you exactly who did it. Taking a look here, the Mandalorian you printed out probably took 3 kilograms of filament. No, it actually only took 2. Hey, there's Raymond Emsley. It did only take 2 kilograms of filament. I know that for a fact. Of course, it doesn't tell you whose it is. Don't you just hate that? Once I find it, I will post it in the links or in the description below, and you guys will get a chance to see it. There's also some really cool Baby Yoda stuff there. There's no, unfortunately, in this Mandalorian helmet, there's no how-to on it. So, unfortunately, I can't pull it up because I can't find it. I guess if I just put helmet in, it might help. What? All right, so we are almost near the end tonight, so we are going to just do this real quick. So now what I would encourage you guys to do is go ahead and send your questions here. We'll cut to this. So if you send your questions to questions@thefirstlayer.com, they will get answered. If you send them to me personally, if you want them to be answered on the show, if you send them to me personally, chances are I won't get to them because I get a lot of email throughout the day for the show. Yes, I did use supports, and it did only take 2 rolls of filament with the supports. So yes, so you can send your questions to here, and we stop taking questions usually by Friday evening because then I can make up the doc and I can go through the doc a little bit and I can see all the questions and maybe get some answers to them. My wife transcribes all of these, so it's really kind of cool. Martin Bass, I designed basic models in Tinkercad to print the models I use Slicer 3D. Excellent. If Slicer 3D is working for you, awesome. I am going to try at some point in this season to do kind of a rundown of Cura, Slicer, Repetier, and Simplify 3D at some point in time this year. We want to see R2-D2 working, Richard. Okay.
Just turn it on.
Hold on. Let me grab the remote. All right. So I have the remote. This is the remote it comes with. We'll go back to this. So this is the remote that it comes with. You have to turn on the remote. You have to turn on the droid. There's a little button underneath. And you should start to light up here pretty soon. He should start to light up here pretty soon.
You sure you turned them off last time?
Yeah, I'm sure I turned them off last time. You know what? I didn't turn them off last time.
Dead. What kind of battery?
That's okay. He takes AA batteries. I can fix this. I can fix this.
I only got triple.
I got AA's over here. I can fix this. Good night, everyone. Chris Travis, good evening. Have yourself a wonderful evening, sir. I'm going to quickly open this up. What? So just remember to like, share, give this episode a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. We'd really appreciate that. There we go. This guy takes 6 batteries. Can you believe that? And these are the original batteries that it came with from Disney World. Or Disneyland. They went to Disneyland, not Disney World. And of course, now I'm trying to get them all out. Where did you get the R2? That, it came from Disneyland. Brian and Jess brought it back for me. And it was, they actually, here was the cool part, is they actually, Facebook me while they were building it. So I got to see it live while they were building R2-D2. So it was kind of fun. So they went with the purple theme because, you know, purple is part of our show colors. And his name, just so everybody is aware, is Artie. You're probably wondering, why did you call him Artie? Well, he's R2-T1. And of course, T1 stands for the first. And there we go. Let's turn Artie back on. Let's see if we can get Artie to turn on. He should be turning on. His little light's not coming on the bottom. So I might have 2 bad batteries in there. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get to see Artie work tonight, but his head does move, lights up, he makes all kinds of great sounds, and that's pretty much it. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let us know what you thought of the video. So put a comment down below. We do appreciate that. And we are back on Wednesday. We're talking about infill and what the differences are between the different infills and how they affect the model strength and the amount of plastic that you're going to use in your 3D modeling. So until I see you guys then, remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print, and I will see you guys back here on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us tonight, and we'll see you then.